The Real Angler Podcast with community Kevin Brannon is brought to you by Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. Built to look good and be tough. Promar and Ahi USA. Premium fishing products and accessories with concepts developed by passionate anglers. Channel Island Sport Fishing. Offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats. And more. Mossy Oak. From hot days in the water to sweltering afternoons in the woods, we've got you covered. Outfit your obsession. The Latino Business Expo, Ventura County's largest networking event. Special thanks to Bruce at Kirby Subaru in Ventura. It's the Real Angler Show, live here on Rough Edge FM. And now, here's your host, Kevin Brannon. This is the Real Angler Podcast with community Kevin Brannon. And Barry and I welcome you and welcome our guest, Bruce Holley.
Bruce Holley.
Hey, how are we today? What's going on out there in the fishing world?
A lot is going on in the fishing world. Sometimes you say it the catching world because some people go fishing and we go catching. Just make sure we get nice and loud for the camera here. This is where we got to let our voices
resonate and carry on through. How's our sound check on the board? The board looks very official.
Yeah.
So glad you got this dialed in.
Yeah, we got this dialed in, but it's not. This is more theatrics right now. It looks good for the optics, but we're still trying to work out a couple kinks. What happened is this facility here is so old that and hasn't been utilized in the Channel Islands Harbor, which we actually got a tour of our new facility we're going to get in about a year yesterday. But there's no internet out here, so we have to go off of something called HughesNet, which is a satellite. And what is it, Scotty? 5.6, and it should be at 8 point something. So a lot of this equipment we can't use because it pixelates on the camera. We're using the same streaming technique, but unfortunately, because of it's out of date here, that we're still going to make it happen, but. Yeah, this is more theatrical, but you like it, huh?
Yeah, I do. I like the 8.0 eventually to come soon to a fishing school near us.
That's right, and we're working on some stuff. We have a blue carpet premiere that we're going to put out 2 episodes. We're working with the Upward from Channel Islands High School. We have 4 interns. One's doing multimedia and 3 are doing business development, and they're booking meetings for us and stuff. But enough about me. That stuff is in the works, and the reason that we're able to do things like this, let me introduce Bruce Holley, a good friend of mine from the Ventura Chamber of Commerce, and also
yes, we are.
We were doing stuff on Zoom and donated some fishing poles years ago that we met, but he's with, make sure I get it right here, Kirby Subaru of Ventura, and they helped us do the last Guppy Ranger Series 3, and it's a reimbursement grant that we get from the Coastal Commission and the Whale's Tail grant. You know, in the California, those Whale's Tails license plates, so many pennies of that go in. But it's a reimbursement grant, so you've seen our emails, again, that our interns send out and said, hey, I'd like to make a donation on behalf for these lovely stories that you're going to talk about, and walked in, and it was just a real community effort, community Kevin here. But, just want to introduce you and kind of tell us, our listeners, kind of more or less, we'll start with, what is the program that you reached out for us to help with?
Well, first of all, the program was you and your enthusiasm. Coming from the chambers, this guy was always right there, enthusiastic and very positive about things. I liked his energy. Some of you that know me really well know that I'm pretty low-key and laid back and never get excited.
That's a lie.
So this guy shows up at the dealership one day, and I had about 15 fishing poles
Something
for you.
like that, yeah.
And some of them were broken, some of them
and this was, but first it was during Zoom. So we were at a Zoom chamber mixer because we still networked. And then you told me to come during the Zoom meeting, you said, hey, come by and see me. So it was, yeah.
And I've been collecting the polls.
Yeah. So
that was how the program started, and I never looked back. I just kept watching, and I kept watching. And I saw the classes build, and I saw the momentum build, and I saw the programs that Kevin was really working on in the kids' faces. And I think, honestly, after COVID, I know we're out of it, but the kids really needed some reinforcement, and Kevin's been providing it. Let's teach each other interaction. Let's teach each other boating safety. as a kid in the late 1800s, my dad was great. He took all of us out and taught us tennis and taught us golf and taught us surfing and skateboarding, and here, these are the sports, and go try them. And my sisters and I kept some of those. We didn't keep all of them, and but some we did, and with being exposed to it. Well, that's what Kevin's doing with these kids. So when it came time for Subaru, because Subaru loves to help,
Yes, they do.
I decided that this would be something that I could get Subaru behind, and the Loves Learning kind of fell into that thing, but it just doesn't matter. You know, there's no car factory that has been able to carry on the reciprocation factor that Subaru does. Other companies have tried it and it never works. I understand some people are helpful, but sometimes they're not that helpful. And with Subaru, it's just been a great program. The millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that have gone into little charities like Kevin's, or some of the national ones that we do every year in December for Share the Love, the Meals on Wheels and the ASPCA and the national parks. All those are really common. Excuse me, but at a local level, to be able to do this with you and see the kids here in the classroom and interact and picking up trash, and I can just only relate to the times that I had experiences that Dad taught me. And I think the big joy that you got also, correct me if I'm wrong, were the parents.
Yeah.
They were saying, oh my God, Kevin, our family's never been closer. We get to go on fishing trips together.
Yeah, that's what it's
Kind of a
about.
long answer, wasn't it?
That's a great answer, though, man. And let you go. That's something I've learned, though, watching other people's podcasts. I'm always studying the craft. Is you're the guest here, so as much as you need to get out, I don't need to. I asked a few questions, but when you're doing an interview like this, you get the time to talk versus me just quick answers. So lets me listen to and slow down. Where our guests are the real stars of the show, normally on the TV show. So take as much time as you need. But I know I get a little long-winded too. So, but that's because I think me and you click on the passion thing, and that's why you're doing 10, 15, 20 things an hour like I do, right? We see each other, me and Bruce see each other in different levels because of the high energy, but the passion that we have, we're pulled in different directions. That's what you get for being good at what you do. That's what I tell people sometimes. So for you to make the events that you did for us, to come and see the people, it wasn't just a cash donation or funding donation and take a picture, that you showed up to as many of the events that you can. So you got a chance to hear them too and see the smiles and hear the laughter and hear from the families, man. So, and that's what a community partnership should look like.
Yes. Not
just, again, a cash grab and a photo op, but how do we incorporate the programming, mission, vision on both sides so that we're all winning, that we're not just trying to anybody that'll give us funding. In the way that it seems like the way we're networking this way this year, we got people like you really stepping up to help us out a lot.
Well, and I think that's important so that you, let me say, you don't dilute. Like sponsors start giving to something like Kevin on a local level, and pretty soon no one else is giving. And so then that sponsor, say it's me, would feel like, well, that was that, and why did I give? And Kevin, this is the third year I've helped you. I don't want to do it anymore. Whereas in our case, and what we're trying to do is create momentum so that not just so next year or the next time at the Guppy program, there's Kirby Subaru, of course, and then there's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Or there's another car company that wants to get involved. Hey, I like what you did, Bruce. Yeah. And those are a lot of our customers that are out there. Or anyway, so now I'm not the only one that's maybe, and I'm using this as an example of those of you that are considering a sponsorship with the Guppies, the real Guppies, is that if the donors and the participants can keep coming and not just writing a check, then there is joy. And I'm shocked how many people love to fish. It's not one of my favorites. Dad shot me that for a minute, and then I was done with it. I needed something a little more active.
Yeah, but when we do the Ranger, for instance, some of the kids that come in are like, when are we going to fish? And we have to let them know this isn't an 8-week fishing program. You get to build rods 2 weeks. You get to go fishing off of our dock. But there's some fisheries management you got to learn. There's the nerdy scientific part. So when you have 8 or 10 kids that are here in different, or even families of 2 or 3 kids, that out of those 3 kids are the parents, how many of them are diehard anglers, fishermen? Right. But we've created other parts of the program to pique more interest of what's in our backyard. So again, that's part of the vision of showcasing, look what we have in your backyard. and then also the occupational pathways. Maybe a kid is thinking about going into law enforcement. So we have speakers through the Guppy Ranger series that you helped us do to come in and talk to them, Rangers and Coast Guard.
And the Coast Guard show up? Yeah.
And Harbor Patrol, Ventura County Harbor Patrol coming in and letting the kids see it. So the Guppy Ranger program does fishing, but it highlights more. So that way, again, you could see. And one of the things is the community, the family engagement part. I was talking to a lady yesterday calling for her scout team. And it's because that way, if you go to a ball game or amusement park or even watching your kid play sports, you're not engaging, you're spectating.
Right.
And we wanted to make sure we had more time for them to be a family engagement program. You can't just drop your kids off. All the families welcoming on all of our adventures and bringing that community feel to it. And again, you came down and seen it. And but again, that's part of the vision. So the ones that don't just love it, we're not a program anymore that just takes kids fishing. This is an educational hands-on family engagement program. And that's what this Guppy thing was in my brain, this Ranger program for like 6 years. And then we got the grant, and then having funders help us get it, we brought that brainchild to life, and that's what's so meaningful when I let them know at the grant, when we do our reporting and letting you know that as a donor, is that this was a vision thing. And we even share that vision with the people that are, and it kind of highlight all that too,
Well, and your story, as I mentioned about, or you told me about, but starting out as just a kid and didn't have a whole lot of opportunities. So what did he have? He had the pier, and he had some fishing line that he'd find lying around, and some bait that was left behind, and that was what he absorbed himself in. And that's kind of what you got to do to be good at anything. Mm-hmm. And so you have taken this from just an insulary thing and then just wrangled and pulled and drawn in, not forcing any of this on, to all these other kids, and given them some ability to what's the word? Because I always think it's important for kids to exercise themselves and exercise their mind and exercise their imagination. And so when they can do that in an environment where they go, what if, or the solitude of fishing, then you're opening doors that you don't even know. And here's what's probably going to happen. And this is what brings my heart to a smile. And of course, Jeff Souquet, the owner of the dealerships, is that somewhere down the road, a kid's going to come up to you, and he can be married or have kids. And he goes, God, Kevin, I remember that summer of 24 or 25, and we went out on the boat, and that changed my life. Nothing really came to mind then, but oh boy, it was years later, and I was in high school or I went to college, and I thought about all that, and that helped me pick a career, and that helped me go do something else. And so those are the things that when we talk about play it forward, that's the stuff we'll never know about, because what are the odds of running into those kids?
You just find out when you say that at the Guppy, when I do the orientation, I said, one of you kids are going to give a valedictorian speech, and I just want you to say, that I want to thank the time that the real Guppy Outdoors and the Guppy Ranger program helped me see things like this. And I think the term that they're using now for that is empowering, right? You're empowering them with the things that you just said to some degree. But also, one of the things that I love in studying other organizations is the development stack part of it, right? Campaigning versus executing. And I used to get excited thinking, man, what if we had 25 kids in here and it looked good on Instagram and we had that many people in here? And as we went through the series, having 8 or 9 kids, up to 14 coming in and going out of the 8 weeks where I really wanted them to be here the whole time, and that was my vision, actually watching it unfold and seeing the importance of even getting through to 8 or 9 families is almost more powerful, man, than having a whole classroom full when there's no room and it looks good, like it's bursting at the seams, to realizing we're going to have a bigger effect on that kid that you're talking about if we didn't have as many people, if we had smaller classes. So something I've seen going through this program myself.
Right.
To make that proper impact. We don't want to, like you said, water it down, right?
No.
And you could water it down trying to, because let's say I need to go to the next donor and I'm like, well, we serviced 150. That sounds great. Don't you want to support us? Versus saying, hey, we had 8 or 10 kids 4 times, 32 kids that we really made an impression on it. We're able to be impactful with, versus coming with a bigger number to try to find the funding. So that's something I experienced going through these series, man.
Well, and I think too, it can inhibit some kids, maybe even personally speaking, because I was, oddly enough, at one point pretty shy. Mm-hmm. And when there's too big a group, you wind up not voicing your opinion.
Right.
Oh, so-and-so is going to chime in, or she's going to step up and do, and I didn't get a chance to. Whereas with a smaller class, I might have said, hey, I'll venture out. I'll risk putting myself in front of other kids and other people and make my opinion known.
Yeah.
And so it's and plus when you're out on the water, I mean, I love the water. Being a surfer and a boogie boarder for many, many, many years, I couldn't get out of the water.
Yeah.
So to be here and have this stuff around us, it's fun. I just appreciate all that you've done.
So Bruce definitely is an energy guy, right? So we went to a fundraiser about a month ago, the Crab Feast, and I snuck Bruce in some hot sauce. We're just going to break the ice a little bit. We're seeing like we're a little tense. But remember, we're at that when this kind of relationship me and Bruce have, that I'm sneaking him in Tabasco sauce.
We were living on the edge, I'll tell you what.
We
weren't putting it on our martini glass.
No.
But it was going where it should.
Yeah,
but anyway,
but we
go
had
ahead.
to sneak in the Tabasco sauce. But that's just like, what I want to say by that is that this is a real friendship partnership that could take years. So for the business developers that are listening right now, to come in and see our small nonprofit growing and us making those reps of chamber breakfasts once per month by ourselves and making it to where you get a team to develop into a corporate sponsorship per se, right? But I think the point I'm making here is that our friendship has grown no matter what, right? It's
Correct.
never been like that. And then when the time is right, I don't think you could have picked a better time that we could have used the support than the way it played out organically, you know? But that took time for you to see, hey, look, these guys they're doing stuff, right?
Well, that was it. I couldn't do anything right away, and I did jump in, but I jumped in following you and watching you, and we always remained friends throughout. And to Kevin's point, people that could be watching or listening or trying to get some ideas, it could have been Henry Ford, but I can't quote it for sure, but someone much more successful and much more wealthier than I am or we are. He said, you don't have to make it perfect, just get started. And that's what Kevin did. He got started, and it was, yes, a childhood dream, but he got started with it, and it was this and it was that, and he was getting a few people, and he was working on boats, and then he wasn't, and then he got some kids, and when you get started, it just, the momentum gets going. I mean, I remember the first event that Jeff asked me to take a car to, because we were sort of a sponsor of a soccer club. And there were probably 5,000 people running around Freedom Park down in Camarillo. So I took a Land Rover, I took a beach chair, and I took a banner. And I said, okay, well, this is kind of fun. And then it wasn't fun. And I went back to Jeff. I said, Jeff, I need an umbrella. Okay. I need a pop-up. Okay. I mean, this was over a period of time. And so pretty soon, some of you that have seen me at the air show and stuff, I've got a picket fence and motorhomes and cars and fake grass. It just kept growing to where people wanted to stop by, enter contests. But sometimes I think of that first day that I went to an event with a beach chair and a car. Whoopee.
You know, it's funny. Marshall's been with us forever and a day. And I remember we got invited to Mothers Against Drunk Driving, a MAD event with the chief of police, Chief Salinas. And he's like, yeah, I think you should be at this event. I think all we had was our flyers, that little trifold. And we didn't have a banner yet. Me and Marshall were just sitting in the Port Hueneme Library parking lot. You know, we made a couple quick games where they were casting in the grass behind us. We didn't know what props to bring or anything. And that's why we love Marshall here so much, because he was there working with us back then when somebody who followed my harebrained idea and say, I'll sit in the chair with you, man, at the table. No problem. And
I've never seen a frown on that guy's face.
Oh, he doesn't frown. No, he doesn't.
You know, that's part of it too, because people do want to sit next to you. So
and
those of you sitting at home frowning, stop it.
Yeah, but he was, that's the truth. If you are frowning, maybe the things that you love doing or the things that you want to do, you're not doing, and that's where you're coming up a little short. And we'll get done. We always have we have these pieces of our show, man. We like to boost up some momentum in other people and encourage them. And we'll get to that part. But if you're at home frowning, now again, there's tragedies and stuff like that. We're not naive. Life has its ways. But sometimes you're not getting a fulfillment of the things that you are doing, you know, and you're waiting just to take that initial one or two steps. And now this is what I call it. It's the skydiver effect, right? So when you go skydiving for the first time, there's a guy on your back. It's called, what is that? When there's tandem, right?
Yeah.
And right when you're at the door, they go, we're going to count to 3. And when I get to 3, we're going to jump out of here. They say 1, and they just push the person out and jump. Because when you say 3, they're first, they'll back up scared. So they do. So that's what we try to do. We try to push people out of the helicopter, but guide them, not just that part, because they're looking down. For people that are dreaming or thinking, what can I do? And that's one of the big things that we like to showcase with the kids that come in here, our participants. That part of the story is that let's just help you. And then again, through the fishing, man, and these projects that we have through these 8 weeks, they're able to gain that confidence. They're able to problem solve. There's these little nuggets that we have in there of life building skills through this Guppy Ranger program that you helped us do, that we're able to analyze the things that got us started to where we're at today, and able to start putting those seeds in there again. So that kid that you talk about in 10 years, I didn't get it then, but again, we're part of the range. Again, thinking of Rangers, right? They got to jump out of airplanes, right? Some of them, if you're a big time Ranger, and the confidence they need and the problem solving that they have to do and the repetitions they have to do to get ready for battle and combat. And then kind of, even though you're 6, I think there's a few lessons you could pick up there, and we split it up. So
somebody believed in me, and now I'm in some other operation, and I believe in. So I better start believing in me. And I think it's not for those of you that are out there. It's not that we are big students of people that just shove positive stuff down our throats. I think there's an incredible bit of optimism that we need to have, or that we have, but also we've got some skepticism, and it's why? Because it's life, it's the world. It doesn't always, like, it's not always a hockey puck on a piece of ice, and so we have those bumps and little bits of grade, and we know that, we expect it, and then we go, okay, I'm going to handle this. God gives us the power to doesn't give us more stuff than we can't handle. And when we're getting overburdened and laid and so weary, it's still inside us, and we do it. That's the little skepticism, and oh man, here comes our optimism, sweeping us right back into the ring.
And then part with the fishing part is if you show that you're problem solving, so that when those things do come up and you've gained a handful of confidence, it's not as scary for you either, right? Because if you start believing, you start getting that momentum that you talked about. It's kind of all the same philosophy. It's momentum, that you get over confidence, that you could figure things out, that you could you can rely on yourself, you could stronger than you think you are. And that's, again, a lot of stuff we show with the Guppy Ranger program and the Real Guppy Outdoors, even at the pier, but is kind of, again, instilling that into people at an early age. Because I think there's ways subliminally, if that's the right how you say it, is that you're teaching them that, and then they're catching on. I call it the Mr. Miyagi. Like, you don't know that you're learning how to block punches and kicks because you're sanding the floor and painting the fence until they start throwing kicks and punches.
Yeah, then it makes sense.
Yeah, like, oh, wait, whoa. So that's kind of and I believe that's why me and you gel so well together. And you're like that with everybody. So let's go back to Bruce, right? Thank you for all the compliments. But Bruce, I've seen you working with Food Share. You work with a lot of other organizations throughout the year. The Toy Drive, man. And you do have one of the highest spirits at the chamber breakfast as he comes in with his glasses on. He has it, and I think that infectious attitude is important, man, and that's what makes you where you're at. But you do a lot. Who else? Any other projects that you guys have going on right now that you're involved in?
Well, we've got a couple things coming up. This Friday is, our good friend Jennifer from Food Share, and every
VCLA.
What?
Yeah, she's a VCLA.
Yes. So every June, Subaru, ABC7, and Food Share, or the local food banks in Southern California, join forces, and Subaru dealerships are a place to drop off food. So please do that for the next couple of weeks, or no, we've got even less than a week left in June. But we're going to be down at Stater Brothers in Simi Valley, collecting food from 6 until noon, and we'll have ABC out there, and we'll do some, yours truly might do a little traffic report or something. Not. But anyway, it's Food Share is so great because they feed, 270,000 people a year, or 270,000 pounds a year here in Ventura alone. And so food's important. And we have Interface, which is a great group of people that deal with child pornography, child trafficking, keeping families together. Different, unique approach, and they're here in Camarillo. We're also got the Surf Rodeo coming up, and that's a big part of our project, primarily because of JD and his lovely wife Amber, that had all that stuff up, with a lot of the funds going to the Girls and Boys Club here at Ventura. So
that's what you mean by community, right? They're not always, and that's what we do, right? I do a lot of stuff with Food Share too, because we used to get boxes of food from Catholic Charities when I was a kid living in with my story. And that's when I make my donations. I go stuff boxes. I go to the church and hand them out. During the pandemic, when her and Oscar and them were out, doing it, that's one of the ones that are near and dear to my heart as well too. But what I was saying is that you don't just go around helping out charities. You find other community look, fun events too, right? It's not always like, you know what I mean by charity versus this is the need they need. But again, getting behind something like a community surf rodeo, right? That's big in our area, right? So you find other cool ways to continue to insert your brand, insert your awareness, your message, your face. And it's not always just helping out a local charity. There's other ways that you guys stay wrapped up in other fun events. Because Ventura County, we have X Games coming up this weekend in our backyard. Yep. Ventura County has a lot of great things going on that we used to highlight in our TV show a lot more locally. And you guys get into all that. It's not just, again, 501c3 charity type of outreach that you guys do. Like you said, the air show, right? But you get around. You get around throughout the community, man.
Well, some of it has to do, to be honest, like anything, the people. So it's great to have people in those charities that you enjoy hanging out with, and then also what's their cause. And I think that's why, back to our original conversation, talking about donors, it's important to you to not write just a check. Come out and see it. When you see it and you see the kids' faces and the participation, and then how it works, and oh gosh, like the Girls and Boys Club, that's a kind of a no-brainer. They've been around so long, but that kind of instills in you the joy of not just writing this check. It fills it up, and everybody thinks it's really easy to go into that chamber and talk. Mm-hmm. But I'll never forget, years ago, Johnny Carson was interviewing Bob Hope, and Bob was in his 80s, so he still had another 10 or 12 years to live. But Johnny asked him, he said, Bob, all the all the shows that you've done, all the movies you've been in, all the crowds and the plays and stuff, do you ever get nervous getting on stage? USO tours, that was the word I wanted. And he says, Johnny, the day when I'm not nervous and I don't have butterflies is the day I'm sitting at home or I'm dead. Mm-hmm. So always keep those butterflies in your hearts, you guys. Always have some little twinkle in your eye that, I'm going to a chamber meeting. It's like Jim Carrey said, it's showtime. Yeah. Put it on, not so much for the crowd, it's for yourself. And when you're out there and you're doing something fun and good, and that's you, baby. Thanks, you got momentum, and you're just dragging this little whirlwind that comes into the room with you.
When I'm at the chamber, and if they hand me the microphone first at the table, but if the microphone gets to the table and I start watching it get to me, I start getting the butterflies.
Good. For
some reason, like I get up and I still write my little notes, but as good as I'm at speaking, when I see it go, okay, I got 3 people to go, minute. And when it starts to come my way, I still get butterflies. But if I'm at the table and they walk right up to me and give it to me and I have a chance to anticipate it coming around, it's easier for me, honestly, than waiting for, okay, here they go. Okay, make sure you say this. So even as great, and again, so that's a good thing to say, because you want to have confidence, but it's okay to still the human component that we have, right? And that way too, when we talk to people, like, even though I go to these events and we go and we love it, we still get nervous, but we still go, because I really try to advocate business to business and development a lot. And so I do invite, do those mixers work for you? Do those chambers think, man, I'm taking what I learned at this chamber events and these expos to Florida next month for the ICAST. So you got to start here to get my reps in so that I can go and talk to more CEOs that are bigger in the fishing industry and government agencies. But if I don't get the repetitions over here, and to still say that I still get butterflies sometimes is being honest. You don't really ever get over it, because again, like you said, the day I think I'm too good or too cocky or that I don't have that emotional attachment anymore, then I might need to step back.
And your delivery's stale, and people will see it. Yeah. You don't think they do, but I remember years ago, when I spent a lot of time on the phone, and this one guy, friend of mine, he said, Bruce, smile through the phone. What? Smile through the phone. And it works. And the same thing, smiling inside when you're in front of people like that. So that's...
I'm writing that down, because today, one of the things that we're doing, our new growth that we have, again, talking about that blue carpet premiere that's going to come out in October.
Okay.
I have those interns from through the high school that are coming in. So they're setting up these meetings for me next week. They're emailing, hey, I'm Emmanuel, I'm Christopher, I'm Gustavo, and I'm here with Real Angler Network. Community Kev will be there. So now they got to get on some phone calls, and we're talking about branding. I'm going to tell them that today. Smile through the phone, because now you could call them and say, hey, Kevin was out there last week with the Real Angler Network. We want to see about, sending you some product and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just setting that down, because every time they come in, we have a new one. Today is going to be procrastination, and the other one was, and so we'll add that. And we try to teach them every couple of weeks some of the stuff that we're learning, and they're really excelling, man, and watching them do that part. So that's something to come. You'll see when we do our blue carpet premiere, because everything that was blue, and that's coming up. So thanks for that. But see how you take.
I look forward to hear that.
Yeah, see how you take somebody's that's what we do when we're building too and networking, right? Is that you get philosophy that a nugget that could drop on you that you could share with somebody else too, man. You know, that's another thing about our partnerships, that we're in the business networking group and being around other entrepreneurs and other CEOs and bosses, is that you're able to, again, same community, and then it kind of helps fill your cup again and things we can share. So I'm going to use that today with my interns, man. Thank you.
Good. Well, you're welcome.
So go ahead and tell them one more time, what is this project that we did? What was it called, the whole thing, and where could we find it?
Well, it is, because it's going to continue, it's called the Real Guppy Ranger Program.
Right. No, but the one that the way that you told the story that's on the website.
Oh, so, well, the story okay, so you would go to Kirby Subaru of Ventura, and then there's a tab for About Us, and then under that tab is called Love Promise, and then there's stories. And there's stories in there of Love Promise stories. So Kevin's is in there, along with a lot of others. They go back years, and people like Jennifer submitted a couple from Food Share, and it's just kind of you saying thank you to Kirby Subaru and for our sponsorship for your program.
Love share the love, man. I'm going to say where I think. Same with you. When you love what you do and you do what you love and you're spreading love, and that's what I think our participants pick up on the most, man, that's what we're doing out here. And what help with you guys, and that's interesting, it's called Love Share, because again, you're sharing the love with the community, you sharing with us allowed us to go share love with them, and then now they're going to continue to share the love. And that's all we tell our guppies really, is that you just pay it forward when you come through our program. This is all free for you guys. Just pay it forward. When it's your turn to serve and give, that's all we want you to do. And we get a chance to showcase that. And then by telling the story and having Bruce here, we're able to bring that story to life. They got to really see it and understand it in a tangible type of way to take away forever. But it's all based right there, man, by sharing the love, brother.
Thank you. Well, it does come from the heart. I don't know who started the expression, but when my heart smiles, then everything else smiles.
What do you think of this one? They say, that's a good one right there. I had to let that one sink in. Is that people say, you volunteer. What does that cost? Or when you do what we do, and I tell people that it's a deposit to the soul. It doesn't pay anything financially, but it's a deposit to the soul, man. When you're a servant out of the heart, there's a deposit to the soul, man, that has more meaning than, we need finances and all that. I'm not going that route, but when you are caring and loving and you're supporting, I think it's a deposit to the soul, man.
I do too, and I think the soul can be incredibly magnetic, and people will, wait a sec, I want to hang around that guy. Wait a sec, I'm going to write him a check. Wait a sec, maybe I could learn something from him. Wait a sec. So the deposit of the soul, if you feel like your soul's magnetic, I'll tell you, you can fulfill your passion. And that's what this kid's been doing.
And if you don't, maybe that's something you could look into. Volunteering your time, start a service. People that listen rewarding. To say, "Hey, Kev, I want to start a nonprofit." Like, okay, let's think about that first. Why don't you go donate your time for a year at another nonprofit that is similar to what you love to do?
Because you see all the mountains and the valleys,
right? Go hang out there and donate your time for the first year and learn what you do. But you'll watch the fulfillment that you get by just being a servant first and understanding it. So if there are listening to this again, and going back, and this our moment, our encouraging moment is that if you are listening to this and you have a frown and you're or your things aren't going right, man, if you start being a servant and giving and start doing that, watch how that starts to make you organically feel better. Not look at me, I'm doing this to feel good for everything, but knowing that you're out caring and sharing, and watch what comes back to that. I think one of the reasons our volunteers love coming to the pier so much is because they get just as much out of helping the kids, like Uncle Dave doing the rod building, Marshall, Vic, our team. When they're out there seeing it, they show up every week because they're getting just as much enjoyment out of it as the participants are, if not more,
Yes.
So that's it. Get off the couch if you're listening. Love what you do, what you love. Put in some time, put in some effort. And remember, we have our new slogan now. Before it was anything is possible. I changed it, add a little scripture, and on our t-shirts say, nothing's impossible. Because nothing's impossible through he who strengthens us. So I slid in a little scripture there, man. And nothing is impossible. Get you some development, get you some mentors, invest your time, and you'll see, again, those magnets he's talking about. When the universe starts orbiting around you, it's incredible, man. And I encourage anybody that's waiting to do something to go out there and do something.
Go out and catch your dreams.
Yep, chase your dreams, catch them. And again, check us out, RealAnglersFishingShow.com. I'm sorry, CommunityKevin.com. CommunityKevin.com now for Real Guppy Outdoors, Real Anglers Fishing Show, and hear other previous podcasts from some of our great partners in the community. Thank you very much, Bruce.
Kevin, it was a blast being on.
Thanks,
I'll have
yeah.
to come back and
Yeah.
visit. And to all of you out there, thanks for taking the time to watch a dynamic duo.
That's right. Let's go.
The Real Angler Podcast with community Kevin Brennan is brought to you by Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. Built to look good and be tough. Promar and Ahi USA. Premium fishing products and accessories with concepts developed by passionate anglers. Channel Island Sport Fishing. Offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats. And more. Mossy Oak. From hot days in the water to sweltering afternoons in the woods, we've got you covered. Outfit your obsession. The Latino Business Expo, Ventura County's largest networking event. Special thanks to Bruce at Kirby Subaru in Ventura. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.